Vietnam's $16 billion airport has just seen its first test flights land. But why would a country build a project this massive completely from scratch and place it far outside its largest city? This was Vietnam's biggest infrastructure gamble, born out of crisis, pushed through near collapse, and now dependent on a single question: can people actually get there efficiently? If you follow global infrastructure and mega projects, subscribe to Design Zip for in-depth stories from around the world. For years, Vietnam's busiest airport has been running on fumes. Tan Son Nhat was built for 30 million passengers a year. Today, it handles more than 40 million. At peak season, the terminal feels like a stress test nobody signed up for, and there is no fix. Tan Son Nhat is boxed in. The city grew around it, surrounded by roads, apartments, and military land. There's no space for new runways and no room for real expansion. Vietnam didn't need another patch job. It needed a clean break. That's why Long Thanh International Airport was planned. Long Thanh sits about 40 kilometers east of Ho Chi Minh City in Dong Nai province. And the key difference is space. A lot of it. Over 5,000 hectares in one continuous stretch. From the start, the goal was scale. While the long-term vision targets 100 million passengers a year, Phase 1 focuses on 25 million. When complete, Long Thanh is designed to handle up to 100 million passengers a year. Long Thanh is planned with 4 runways, not short regional strips. These are full-length runways built for long-haul aircraft. The main one alone is 4,000 meters long, designed to take heavy wide-body jets like the Boeing 787 and even the Airbus A380. This airport is designed for long-haul, intercontinental traffic from day one. Then there are the terminals. Instead of one overloaded building doing everything, Long Thanh is planned with 4 massive terminals, each built to handle around 25 million passengers a year. Phase 1 opens with a single terminal, but the rest are already planned. Even the terminal shape has a purpose. The roof design is inspired by the lotus flower, Vietnam's national symbol. But this is not just for looks. The wide-span structure lets natural light flood the interior. It creates huge open halls that actually move people smoothly, something Tan Son Nhat struggles with every day. And then there is the advanced tech. From the moment you walk in, facial recognition and automated baggage systems aim to end the terminal chaos associated with Vietnamese travel. At its core, Long Thanh is not an airport project. It is an economic pressure valve. Ho Chi Minh City is Vietnam's economic powerhouse. Manufacturing, exports, tourism, all of it depends on air access. Long Thanh is designed to unlock new long-haul routes, attract more international airlines, and eventually turn southern Vietnam into a true regional hub. And it doesn't stop at the runway. Around the airport, planners expect logistics zones, free trade areas, maintenance centres, hotels, and entire business districts to grow. Airports like this reshape regions. Constructing a vision this large is one thing. Surviving the chaos of its birth is quite another. Long Thanh was not a last-minute idea. Versions of this airport were being discussed as far back as the early 2000s. Every few years, the plan came back, then stalled again. Some ideas were too expensive, some too big, too risky. When everything else worked, politicians would argue and wouldn't agree to the plan. Experts disagreed, then reality forced the decision. Tan Son Nhat was choking, flights were backing up, and Vietnam's aviation growth was not slowing down. Eventually, the government gave the green light. Phase 1 was approved and construction officially began in January 2021. And then the worst possible thing happened: COVID. It was when the borders closed, supply chains broke, and labour became unpredictable. International contractors couldn't move freely. For a project this massive, timing could not have been worse. But COVID was only the beginning. The biggest nightmare came from the ground itself. Long Thanh sits on 5,000 hectares of land, and none of it was empty before the construction started. Thousands of families lived and farmed there. Entire communities had to be relocated. That's why there were so many compensation disputes and protests. On top of that, this land carried a hidden danger. There was unexploded ordnance from past wars. Before construction could even start, the entire site had to be scanned, cleared, and declared safe. That process alone took years. You cannot pour concrete when the ground might explode. Then came another problem. In 2022, bidding for the main terminal failed. No group met all the requirements. That meant rebidding, more delays, and more scrutiny. At one point, accusations flew between rival construction consortia. The government stepped in. Several officials tied to land clearance were arrested for violations. At this stage, most mega-projects collapse under their own weight. Long Thanh didn't because pressure exploded from the top. National leaders demanded progress. Construction went 24 hours a day, with thousands of workers rotating shifts. Heavy machines rolled non-stop. All because now the situation was so dire that this airport had to happen. Now money was the next question. A project this size usually sinks governments into debt. But Long Thanh followed a different path. The Airports Corporation of Vietnam, or ACV, largely self-financed Phase 1. It used years of accumulated profits and cash reserves. During the pandemic, ACV had kept over $1 billion in liquid assets. That money became Long Than's lifeline. Banks offered massive credit lines. In fact, it was over $1.8 billion, but most of it went unused. Long Thanh kept building without piling on debt. By late 2025, the results finally showed. The 4,000-metre runway was complete, taxiways were finished, aprons were ready, navigation systems were tested. In December 2025, a Vietnam Airlines Boeing 787 touched down in technical flight. This aircraft carried the proof that Long Thanh was real. After years of delays, politics, scandals and pressure, the airport became a reality. Commercial operations are now set for 2026. But surviving construction was only half the fight. Because the biggest threat to Long Thanh is not behind it, is still ahead. So, Long Thanh is built. The runways work, the systems are online, and yet, Long Than's biggest vulnerability has nothing to do with aircraft. It's access. Long Thanh sits 40 kilometers from Ho Chi Minh City. On a map, 40 kilometers is a short hop. In the gridlock of southern Vietnam, it's a marathon. Right now, Long Thanh relies heavily on roads. Yes, expressways connect the airport to the city. But roads mean traffic, rush hours, and holidays. Every delay on the ground eats away at the passenger experience. And global hubs live or die by efficiency. The missing piece is rail. There are plans, in fact lots of them. A light rail line connecting Long Thanh to Thu Thiem. A future high-speed rail stop linking North and South Vietnam. It might sound great, but in reality rail projects move slowly. Some are still years away. That gap is dangerous. Airports like Dubai, Incheon and Hong Kong work because they are plugged directly into fast transport networks. Miss that, and airlines hesitate to come. Inside the airport, things are more promising. Long Thanh is packed with smart systems, biometric check-in, facial recognition boarding, automated baggage handling, where each bag rides in its own carrier. A central operations control center watching everything in real time. Bags move fast. Security lines move faster. On paper, it is world-class. But all that speed means nothing if travellers spend 2 hours stuck on a highway. There is also the airline question. For Long Thanh to succeed, airlines must commit long-term. That means shifting major international routes away from Tan Son Nhat. It means passengers accepting the new location. It means schedules, crew bases, and cargo operations moving over smoothly. If airlines hesitate, the airport risks underuse early on. And finally, the money question returns. This airport only works if traffic keeps growing. If regional competition heats up, Long Thanh has to fight hubs like Bangkok and Singapore. Infrastructure alone doesn't guarantee success, strategy does. Long Thanh will succeed or fail, not in the air but on the ground. The runways are ready, the terminal is waiting. Now the real challenge is getting people there and making sure they want to come back. From the scarred earth of a former conflict zone to the soaring lotus-inspired halls of a $16 billion gateway, Long Thanh represents Vietnam's definitive break from the constraints of its past. It is an immense gamble of steel and strategy, built to move 100 million people into a new era of global influence. Personally, I believe this project is a rare display of national ambition. While the logistical gap between the city and the terminal remains a shadow over its success, the sheer courage to self-fund a project of this scale suggests a country that is no longer waiting for the future, but actively building it. But as we look at this gleaming lotus in the distance, it raises a question. Can a nation truly build its way into greatness? Or does the success of a mega project ultimately depend on the small human details, like the roads that lead us home? I'd love to hear your perspective on this $16 billion bet. And if you have a passion for the architectural marvels and massive construction projects that are reshaping our world, I invite you to join our journey. Subscribe to Design Zip to explore the next great build with us. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.